I remember when I was a young noob spending hours training my strength levels at the ogres west of youll. I would see these high level players run past me with their Veracs Flail and I would think, I'm gonna have one of those one day. Well, I'm rewinding back the clock and I'm back to being 13 years old again, looking to get myself a Veracs Flail. It is episode 4 of our RuneScape in Real Life series and I'm excited to bring you a Veracs Flail, one of my most favourite weapons from back in the day. Absolutely terrible as far as combat DPS goes, but badass as far as aesthetics goes. So with that being said, let's get into it. So first things first, we're going to make the ball that's on the end of the chain before we put the spikes on. I've actually never fabricated one of these before, so it took me a hot minute to figure out how exactly I wanted to do it. Luckily I remembered that back in the day when I was like 8 years old, in one of my favourite dinosaur books, there was like the Earth's planet like broken up into slices in an accurate way to show where the dinosaurs live or something. I'll chuck a picture up on screen to see what you can see what I'm talking about. But yeah, so basically just copying that picture and or the idea behind that picture and go from there. If you're wondering why I sound a little bit off, I've just been sick, and that's also why this video's out a little bit late. I didn't want to like put it out or have to do the commentary while I'm sounding fully like a sicko. I know I still sound like a little bit of a sicko, but definitely not as much as I was. Right, so I've cut all my slices out and bopped them up with the hammer. Now we've tacked most of them together and just taken the two halves of the ball or the sphere, whatever you want to call it, together, and then we can get into welding it up. And at that point, she's going to be mint. It's going to look like a nice big watermelon. Well, actually more like a tiny little watermelon. At this stage of like my YouTube channel, obviously I'm still figuring it out. Like I don't know, there's lots of unknowns about how I want to sort of structure it all. So I don't really know if I want to do like more commentary or just like the last video, just let the music play and not really do much commentary. So this episode I'm going to be doing the opposite of what the Statius Warhammer one was, and I'm going to be talking your ears off. Feel free to mute it. I know I can be annoying. Maybe you want to hear me talk some shit. That's absolutely fine. Now my balls are... Now my ball is nice and shiny. We can move on to making up the spikes for the spiky ball. You're a genius! One thing I didn't realize I did until I started making these videos is the amount of facials I make when I make stuff is actually hilarious. Like poking my tongue into my cheek and just having my mouth open all the time. Like what the heck, I didn't know I did that, but it's still funny. I don't imagine I'm going to be changing that habit anytime soon, as much as it's not that cool, but whatever. Hey, I am who I am at this point. I mean, I'm 24 years old, about to be 25 soon. 25 years of making a habit's not going to go out the window anytime soon, if I'm being honest. That's where you sort of get about like old people as well, eh? Like you get these grumpy old people, or they got some weird habits when they're like 60, and you just know, as much as you want to tell them, you know, like this is some bullshit, they ain't ever going to change, and you're wasting your breath, let's be honest.
Nice work, Mr. Captain Obvious.
Anyway, so back to the video. At this point, we just we've made all our spikes, and now we're taking them all on the ball, making sure they sort of line up and relatively, try my best to sort of make them suit the way the spikes are in the game. There's a total of 6 spikes. As far as in real life, like how these spikes would damage you, I think in the sort of flails you see in war and that, they're quite sort of narrow and sharp, so they're like fully impale people. But the sort of spikes these are, I think they'd just be like causing, like, I don't know how you describe it, like just tenderizing the flesh, like just damaging things, you know. It wouldn't be like like stabbing into people. I don't know if that makes sense, or am I just talking shit? You should hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I'm just going to take this opportunity to let you know, subscribe and press the notifications, so make sure you don't miss my next video. I really appreciate it. You'll really appreciate it, because you won't miss the next video. I can't tell you the amount of people that have like, oh my god, I saw your scythe video. I'm like, oh yeah, I've actually made 3 more since then. Oh my god, you should link them to me, you know, I didn't see them. Yeah, well, you missed out because you didn't subscribe, so subscribe, do it. Do it right now. Right now, so you don't forget. Do it right now. You won't regret it. Oh, by the way, this isn't sped up. I'm just super fast at like cutting wood with a handsaw, by the way. Like, I know you're going to be jealous of how quick I was, but nice handle. Gonna be good with a nice chain. Time to stain that up, make it look a little bit more fancy and more accurate to the in-game color. Now moving on to, there's like a steel part at the top of the handle. The connection between the wood and the steel is probably the hardest part, in that it's got to be strong enough to handle a good amount of sort of flailing around. The solution is to, I'm like drilling down into the wood, or I drill down into the wood and putting like a tube, gluing a tube down inside the handle a little bit, and then screwing it as well. So at that point it'll be super strong and it'll never come out. My sickness isn't COVID, by the way. I'm just generically sick. It's I went and had my COVID test. That was not a pleasant experience. I'm sure plenty of you have had the COVID test as well, and experienced getting your brain probed with a cotton bud. For those of you who haven't had it, the experience is similar to like jumping into water too fast, upside down or whatever, and getting water up your nose. But instead of water up your nose, it's a cotton bud, and it's way deeper. So that's the best way I can just explain it. If that doesn't help you make you understand, then I can't help you, sorry. Once it's screwed in, I'll just weld on that little cap on the top of this steel piece, and then we can attach our chain and it'll be happy days. And yeah, you might be thinking like, oh, I thought New Zealand was COVID free. Well, we were for like 100 days or 104 days or something, but we had a visitor. We had a few visitors, obviously. They were letting people in the country and not having them in isolation or whatever for long enough before they could just run out into the public. And so we had a few old mates travel over the show, and now we're at like another 30 cases in the last couple of days. Would not be surprised if we're going to be going back into lockdown, but I mean that's definitely not ideal for the majority of the country. In a sort of selfish way, this is going to sound bad, but in a selfish way, I wouldn't actually mind going into lockdown. And you know, it's a forced holiday, and it actually just gives me time to make more of these videos, because I do work full time, and you know, I've got family commitments. There's not actually a lot of time for me to be doing these sort of things, but in lockdown I get a solid 4 weeks of putting around, enjoying myself. I mean, that's actually where the scythe video came from, as I was in lockdown trying to find something to do. I had the idea before, but never really had the time or the gumption, I guess you could call it, to get into it and actually do it. But having all the time in lockdown, I was just like, you know, why not use what I had around at home, and got it done. And now here we are at the end of episode 4, making a Veracs Flail. Yeah, so I had so much fun making this episode. It was actually probably the most fun I've had out of the 4. I don't know, it's just the flail as a weapon is quite exciting, and it's super dangerous. Like, I thought about hitting something with it, but I was actually just legitimately worried that if I hit something with it, who knows where it's going to go afterwards. Like, I'm going to fully damage myself. So I have Instagram, and I do have Twitter. Follow me on the both. They're both called Noxious IRL. Should be able to find me relatively easy. You'll get to see the teasers of the upcoming videos before everyone else does. You'll be able to vote in polls maybe on Twitter, that sort of thing. Definitely follow me, and thanks for watching. I'll see you all in the next one.